Welcome back to What's Your Hustle podcast. Today, we are joined by the man who decoded the science of achievement, Stephen Bartlett. Most people spend their lives chasing money and fame, but they're doing it in the wrong order. Stephen is here to break down his legendary 5 buckets, a framework that will fundamentally change how you build your career and your life. Don't just watch this, get ready to take notes. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below, and stay tuned, because we're about to show you how to fill your buckets for long-term success. Rule number 1, know that you are enough, to avoid chasing fake ambition.
When I didn't deeply believe that I was enough, I wanted a Lamborghini, a mansion, a six-pack, and loads of cash. When I realized that none of those things were going to increase the value of Stephen Bartlett, and that one Stephen Bartlett was always going to be worth one Stephen Bartlett, I could aim at other things. I started writing books, I started a podcast, I started DJing, I started seeing my girlfriend more and becoming a better boyfriend in my family. And that's the difference between fake ambition, which is driven by shame and insecurity, and your need for admiration from external validation, and then real ambition. When you know you're enough, you have real ambitions. When you don't, your ambitions will look like mine.
Rule number 2, stop waiting for perfect conditions. Just start.
Everyone says this in my DMs. It's like, I just don't know where to start. And the truth is, that is a Mount Everest that we choose to put in front of ourselves. Like that there's this perfect place to start. And that there's this perfect set of factors that need to fall into place in terms of monetary, knowledge, skills, or whatever, or investors, or mentor. I need one of those to start. None of that is true. I was in Manchester, 18 years old, dropped out of university, wanted to start this website, can't code, no money, parents aren't talking to me because I dropped out of university, no team, no food in the fridge. Google how to build a website. And it looked difficult. So I was like, how to find someone that can build a website, right? I'm like, that ain't me. So I'm like, that. So, and then 3 months. Googling stuff, and I went through every page of Google, typing in web developer, and I emailed everyone, went on all like the Fiverr.com websites and emailed all these freelancers and got all their proposals back, and just look, oh, this guy looks like his website's nice, so maybe he can build a good one. And that is it. There's not a perfect place to start. In fact, when you're starting a business, you have a list of 100 things that need to be done now. Because these like binary words like entrepreneur and these taglines like be your own boss, they're like super unhelpful if you start buying into them. What you should say is be a bit more broader and nuanced in your life and say, I would like autonomy in my work. And you can find autonomy and control in your work in any, whether you are working at Tesco or whether you are running Amazon. And if you look at the psychology, working with people that you like, having control, pursuing something you feel competent at, and a few other things which I talk about in the book are much more important than fulfilling an external sort of status-driven tagline and being able to put it in your bio.
Rule number 3, know how to focus on one thing at a time. Scattered energy and attention gets nothing done.
So my advice for young people would be to do everything in your power to focus. In business, what we do is we operate in sprints, which means when you have an idea, you assemble a team around it and you focus them for a dedicated and predetermined period of time, say 3 months or 6 months, only on that idea to give it its best possible chance of success. And after those 6 months, you assess it and you make very brutal, very honest, very ego-free decisions whether to continue or not. That's how I like to think about focus and projects and how to make the decisions around allocating your time. What you really should do if you want to give an idea its best possible chance of success, if you want to give DJing your best possible chance of success or writing that book or becoming a content creator, is you should look at the task and dedicate the next 6 months to doing that and only that. If you allocate time to other things in that period, you're reducing the chance of a positive outcome for that one thing.
Rule number 4, anything you're gonna do, you have to know when to jump ship. Bet on you and jump.
If I'm going to have anything, it's going to be a direct consequence of my behavior. So I would wake up and my lunch money would come from me selling something. Or so by the age of 14, I started running the school trips in the school. I did a deal with a vending machine company to fill our whole school with vending machines, and they were going to buy them. We got them for free and made commission on every sale. And I got to the point where I was so preoccupied with that, not attending my classes, half the school was trying to expel me.
The other half was trying to keep me because I was generating a lot of revenue. And I decided that I would no longer go to school. So I focused on the business stuff.
Well, you
Rule number 5, keep an open attitude towards change.
What we need is a different attitude towards change, which is what I call leaning in. In my life, across like 1 decade now, there's been 2 tectonic shifts. The first for me was social media. And I built a business in that industry because I lent in. When it sounded confusing and strange and there was pessimism, I lent in and built a company there. We don't lean in because of dissonance, this psychological feeling of friction when something new conflicts with what we know about the world or our identity. So what we tend to do to resolve that dissonance, that cognitive friction, is to lean out and dismiss the thing. So you hear AI coming and because of the friction it will cause you, instead of just holding the dissonance, which is holding 2 conflicting ideas, the human brain has to dismiss the thing causing the friction. The issue with that is when innovation comes, it always creates dissonance. And we're seeing that now with AI. We saw it with the internet. I remember watching the videos of people trying to explain the internet, the pessimism and the dismissal of it. We saw it when the iPhone was created and the CEO of Microsoft laughed on air and said a 500, 600 pound mobile phone, they have no chance. I love our strategy. That dissonance.
By the way, he's no longer at Microsoft.
He's no longer at Microsoft.
Surprise,
and the iPhone
surprise.
Stole market share, right? It's so important to understand that feeling. And even more recently, in the last 2 years, I experienced a huge amount of dissonance when this thing called blockchain technology came out. People selling these monkey pictures on the internet for 6 figures. What I did because of principles, not because of how I felt, was I lent in. And that led to a company called Third Web. We've raised $31 million. The company has 50 employees in San Francisco. It's valued at hundreds of millions of dollars in our last investment raise. And because I lent into that dissonance, that feeling of, that something bizarre was happening, I was able to build companies. That's what we should be telling our kids. It's a mindset towards change we'll need for the 21st and 22nd century.
The last rule, be clear about where you are going and set realistic expectations.
So for me, I'm very clear and intentional about the direction I want to go in. But then the more important part, or equally important part, to knowing your direction is having the drive to turn the key and put your foot down. So I believe in the balance of both. And I think I've kind of lived my life by that principle. So if your expectations are low, I was born in Africa, like the people in the village that I was born in Africa. If your expectation is rice, you'll be euphoric when that expectation is met. If you become a billionaire and you're traveling first class in private jets and you go to a 7 Michelin star restaurant and one thing is wrong, because of your expectation, you will be unhappy. And it's quite so that tells you a cure and a symptom and a formula for how to live a happier life, which is to have more realistic expectations for your life, for your relationships, and for everything in between.
You mentioned your podcast there.
Yeah.
That wraps up today's episode with Stephen Bartlett. We hope these 5 buckets give you the clarity you need to level up your hustle. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you never miss an interview. Take action on what you learned today, and we'll see you in the next one.